Haziq Ghazali from IMECI University Malaya Student Chapter. A round of applause, please.
Ya Allah, iyak lu.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to my Muslim friends. I'm a good one person answer. Thank you very much. And a very good morning to everyone who is present here on this fine day. Tired, isn't it? Don't worry. The only thing standing between you and the food outside is this presentation right here. Don't worry, I'll make this quick and brief. But first and foremost, I'd like to ask one simple question. Who here loves mathematics? Raise your hand. Oh, okay, more than I expected. But maybe love is a bit too strong, isn't it? I can find out that some people here really do actually love mathematics, which is, I'm glad to hear. Thank you very much. Now, who here actually likes mathematics? Raise your hand instead. You like it. Just say you like it, maybe. My father actually likes it. I'm surprised. Well, I can still see that there are some people who have not risen their hands, which is a bit weird for me, because I find that mathematics is something beautiful. It's something amazing. And yet, most people here are students, correct? Most people here are lecturers. So why don't you like mathematics? Well, let it be known that the aim of my presentation is not to win. It's not to just present something, but is to have each and every one of you appreciate, even just a little bit, appreciate mathematics. And how I'm going to do it is by first showing off a bit of nonsense. And how's that? Well, I'm going to first explain this nonsense right here. First of all, who here knows how to read this? The title over here. Who here actually knows what this means? I know that one person probably here knows, and that's the timekeeper over there. I'm pretty certain. You don't know how to read this, right? Right? What's that? What's that upside down E? What's that backwards E? Do you remember? Close. But see, she knew something that almost everyone here doesn't. So, I hope that most people here who don't like mathematics put their fears aside, because I'm going to explain what these two words mean. Start off with a quick math class. Alright, so the upside down A, it means for all. And the backwards E, it means there exists. And you're wondering, who in the world made this vocabulary? Who in the world made these words in the first place? They're mathematicians. Here's an example, okay? Now, I know that maybe some of you might have math anxiety, but humor me a bit. I'm going to read this out for you. For all x's, there exists a y, such that x minus y equals 0, which is true. For example, y equals to x. Now, maybe some participants are even confused in the first place. What? You roughly read mathematics in the first place? And the important thing is the equation, right? The important thing is x minus y equals 0, right? That's the problem, that you want to find a solution. Why do you even need to read the first two words in the first place? I'm trying to explain something, but then we want to skip the explanation. We don't care about it much. We want the solution. We are engineers, correct? So where does that appreciation go? Where did it go? And that's why I want to say that these words, they have a meaning. Where for all words, there exists meaning. And that's the important point of the day. Okay, maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Please, allow me to first do one important question to everyone here in the audience, which I know is very basic, but please. What is math? What is mathematics? And instead of me giving you a motivational speech or some sort of realization what maths is, let's do something easy, okay? Hey Google, what's maths? The abstract science of numbers, quantities, blah blah yada yada. These words are quite complicated. They're quite complicated indeed. I'm sure my father is also, when he sees this, he's like, what is this? Apa ni? Tak faham lah. Okay, maybe I find something better. Okay, modern technology, okay? Okay, how about we ask ChatGPT, what is mathematics? I'm not reading all that. Okay, no. AI is smart, right? ChatGPT, can you make it shorter for us? Ah, there we go. Mathematics is the study of numbers, shapes, patterns. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm sure you are able to read. But here's the important part I want to highlight. It's like a special language for describing and figuring out things in different fields. Fields such as, well, medicine, technology, and most importantly, engineering. And the fact that it's said that mathematics is a language, somebody has quoted that before actually. There's this old man that I remember way back in the days, and he said something like this. Mathematics is the language in which God has written the universe. And this old man here is actually a famous person that I'm sure everybody knows, Galileo Galilei. Now, I want to bring you guys back to the old days when SPM, during the primary school and secondary school. You all probably asked this question at least once in your lifetime when you were learning that long lecture in mathematics, which is, when will I have used this? When would I use these mathematics in the first place? When will I use derivatives, integrals, and then these differential equations, and whatever nonsense that's given to me in the first place? For us engineers, well, it's obvious, isn't it? We've used them to find out how to make a swinging pendulum, to make a clock function in the first place. And we also use them in order to make these springs, these special springs that go back and forth. We've made a full-on equation for it. Now, here's a big question. My father is in the audience over there. He's not a mathematician, nor is he an engineer. He's probably asking, what is the use of this in the first place? Well then, allow me to show you two examples. They're two YouTube videos, but I'm not going to let them just play. I'm going to explain it. Here we have the first YouTube video. Now I'm sure everyone here is looking at the title and reading this question real quick and wondering, what in the world is this? What is this nonsense? Is this really mathematics? Why are you showing me a question that just seems no nonsensical? And the other video, the bane of most engineering existence, the Fourier transform. But it's actually very beautiful and very lovely to look at. Now, I want to give a quick question to the audience right now here. Which video do you think has more views? Is it the Fourier transform, the beautiful piece of art in mathematics that most people fail to see unless visually? Or a math question for 5th graders in China? Who here thinks it's the math question? Raise your hand. Well, there are 8.2 million people who are interested in a question that to you doesn't make sense, right? How, what, why? And 9.2 million. I'm sorry, but those who raise their hand, they're wrong. But don't worry, the effort is what counts, correct? But if you realize, how come there's still 8.2 million people interested in this? I can assure you, I can put money on this. The fact that you won't use this ever in your life. Like, when will you use it? So, why don't we step back? I need to explain first to my father particular. What is a Fourier transform? So,
Dia jadi black sheep.
let's do a quick presentation, a quick math class, if you will. I hope I'm not boring everyone right now. Please take a quick breather and breathe in, breathe out. Take a drink if you will, so that you will get ready to face another math lesson with Mr. Huspel today. Fourier transform. Why is it called Fourier? It's a name. Fourier, this guy is Jean-Baptiste Fourier, and he's the guy credited for inventing this beautiful piece of art. Let's say you're in a band, and, well, there are many noises, right? You can hear the sound of a guitar, you can hear the sound of drums, you can hear the sound of a trumpet, you can hear a person singing. No, I'm not singing, huh? But, when you play them all together, you will get a mix of noises. Do you see these squiggly lines? These squiggly lines, let's say for simplicity's sake, they make sound. Each of them are a different sound in the first place. And when I added them all together, it made this complex squiggly line in the first place. It's quite hard to grasp what is in the first place, but it's the real thing. It's what happens when you put sound together. So what if we made something that can help reverse engineer this complex thing into these simple things? And that's what Fourier transform does. So let's say, for example, my microphone right now. You can hear my voice, you can probably hear me breathing, and you can probably hear the air conditioning or maybe things around me today. You can probably hear a person fart in the back there. I don't know if there is somebody who did that, but I hope not. And let's say, using this Fourier transform, we're able to simplify things to something that you can understand. This is much easier than looking at that weird audio graph thing that shows these weird wavy lines. No, it's something simpler. You can see, maybe this is the sound of the air conditioning, and that's the sound of my breathing. And then there's the sound of someone farting. Oops, strong one. And we can cancel all those out so that you can just hear my voice. Isn't that beautiful? To think that there is a way to cancel things out. And that's how applicable it is in engineering. So obviously, the equation must be beautiful as well, right? Okay, in full honesty, this thing is like utter nonsense to me. First of all, there's an integral up there, so you need to know at least calculus. And then there's like the letter E to the power of 3 letters and a negative pi. Wait, are you telling me that I is a number? And E is also a number? And the most important thing, why does this G have a hat on and this one doesn't? We're intimidated by this. We're intimidated by the fact that this confusing equation thinks something that we can't understand. Let me give you an example. If I speak to you in a different language, how would you feel? Si je parle en quelque chose que n'importe quoi, qu'est-ce que c'est que je dis? C'est nonsense. Unless somebody knows French, they probably knew what I was saying. And that's the same feeling. You see this equation, you feel frustrated looking at it. You're wondering why. Why do I have to go through all this just to get my degree or my diploma and all this? Okay, let's take a step back maybe. Let's look at the other video real quick. Now this one is going to be more interesting. I'm sure less people are going to be a bit bored by this. This question. Alright, let me just read it out. If a ship had 26 sheep and 10 goats on board, how old is the ship's captain? What is this nonsense? Can someone explain to me how can you find an answer to this? Take note, this is an exam question for 5th graders in China. And they're asked this? The funny part is that the answer is literally not enough information. There's no answer unless you give me more things to think about. But you know the funny part? People from China actually tried to answer it. They ignored most of the words, most of the vocabulary in the question itself, and they were just focusing on the numbers. They were manipulating those numbers and think, okay, maybe if I took 26 plus 10, 36, that's the age of the captain. A nonsensical question requires a nonsensical answer, am I right? But then, let me give you a different example. Somebody from the news has actually looked over this question, and this is the answer they provided. Now, if you actually look into it and read into it, I'm sorry for the people in the back if you can't see it, but they deduce by the weight of all the animals and the minimum requirements for a driving license for the captain, they found out that the age of the captain is 28 at least. This seems less nonsense, correct? And funny enough, that this thing, it's like a Sherlock Holmes deduction. You give me something so trivial, so little, but I manage to show you a proper explanation, even though this thing is probably something I just made up as well, but it's something plausible enough for you to think it's correct. Well then, I have another question. Engineering versus mathematics. There's a difference, but not much. We engineers, we use maths as like a tool, a way to solve problems in the first place, correct? But what's the big difference between the two? I'll give you the main idea. Trivial and real. Trivial mathematics, well, it's mostly questions you would ask in real life. How heavy am I? How heavy is this podium? How strong is it? How loud can I get? That's something that you want to know an answer to, but you can probably find a way to solve it. There's probably an equation that you can make out and probably deduce the answer from there. Real mathematics. Now, this real mathematics is beyond engineering, because the previous trivial question, it's a mathematics question in the first place. It's about the critical thinking. It's about deduction and reasoning. Mathematics is more than just those numbers and symbols and operators. But in fact, they have meaning to their words. But us engineers, we remember back then, right? We have formulas. Formulas upon formulas upon formulas. And we had to use all this in order to solve a problem in engineering. Yes, it's not right for us to remember all this in the first place. But nowadays, they give you the sheet, the answer sheets for the formulas, right? Now you have the formula sheets that can help you, but the damage has been done. We've grown accustomed as engineers so that we rely on finding just the answer. We don't want to go any deeper, we just want to find the bare minimum. And the funnier part is, where's the love? Where's the passion? If you were actually studying engineer even deeper and deeper, you find out maybe some engineers are actually a bit crazy, to say the least. They're able to think of things. They're able to use intuition to solve different problems and different things. Let's put all these equations aside and look at true beauty. Everyone here knows trigonometry. But then, when you look at these videos, you realize that there is something behind the mathematics and the numbers that are written down. As you can see, there is something beautiful behind this mathematics. And that's why you should really realize and put aside all those numbers and start seeing to believe. These explanations, these visuals, and delving deeper by asking the question why, you're able to start realizing that what you're doing this whole time isn't really appreciating mathematics, it's just using it as a tool. So that means a tool is a negative thing, right? I'm using you as a tool this whole time. Yeah, that's a very bad thing to say to someone. So let it be known that mathematics is some form of escapism. Because, don't forget, even though mathematics is considered a tool, it's also a language. Remember that definition? It's a language. And what does a language do? You can make songs out of it. You can write something out of it. You can make poems. And most importantly as well, you can speak. You can tell other people things. I'm able to do a speech, a public speech right now to every single one of you. And you realize that I'm trying to tell you something about maths and how powerful it can truly be. And the final thing, which I think people neglect, is that maths, it's like a puzzle. And every puzzle has an answer. But then who's going to solve those puzzles? Well, in real life, leave it to the engineers. And that's, I say, thank you.
Okay, good morning, Hasbro. My question just now, you say to solve this thing, we will leave it to engineer. What do you think in future, this kind of mathematical solution or whatever, which can be solved by AI easily? Do we still need engineer?
Interesting question indeed from judge number one. Well, AI is indeed a tool in the first place as well, correct? Whether or not it's a language, well, I'll leave it to the programmers for that. But considering that AI has grown quite superior to humanity, to be able to help calculate things for you. Back then, even before the AI, remember that we used Excel to calculate things? We used a problem solver from Excel to find those things. And it does help us a lot, correct? It helps us find the solution better. And it's definitely time saving, especially since we as engineers, we find that value of time is important in the first place. But then, what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily that you don't use these. They're considered convenience. They're considered as a way to make your life easier. And why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't I use a calculator for exam when I'm given the opportunity? And just as a fun fact, back then, when I was in foundation, I was not allowed to use a calculator at all during the exams. And I got at least a good enough mark during it, but the mathematics lecturer, he knows that you can solve these problems without a calculator, and there's no need to. You just leave it as far as you can go. And I find that effort if you put that effort to understand something from the base of it, from the definition, then you're able to realize more things. An engineer's intuition is not born out of thin air. An engineer's intuition is based on experience. Mathematics as well. Mathematics is like an exercise, you know? So you have to do it like every day, right? Schools tell you to do exercise every day as well, right? I guess there is a real reason for them to do that.
Hi, Hasbro.
Hello.
Okay, I continue from Mr. Wong.
Oh, okay. Continue on.
I am actually a design engineer.
Okay.
Okay, I deal a lot with mathematics. Okay. I need your argument from statement below.
Okay.
In real life,
Hmm.
an engineer actually does not do calculation manually. You use software, you use computer, you key in all your parameters, you click start, then the computer calculates for you.
Hmm.
Start your argument.
I get it. Let me just ask you one question against it, okay? Is that fun? Is it fun to just put in the numbers, press start, bam, you got me the answer. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow, good sir.
Not very fun, but solve my headache.
Yes, indeed, correct. But then, delving into mathematics, although it's not for everybody, delving into that mathematics was able to at least enlighten you about things. You're able to know what happens in the computer itself, and you're like, so it does this and that, and those calculations behind them. And, well, afterwards, you start to appreciate things more, correct? Yes, I'm continuing again the same argument with appreciation in mathematics. But what is there in life rather than you should appreciate things? You should appreciate your life. You should appreciate others. And the efforts that people have done before you, you should at least put some respect towards it. I believe that there is this philosophical statement behind the mathematics involved. The mathematics that we learn in engineering, they're all real, right? But then, do you realize that if you delve deeper into the mathematics, you can make these dumb questions like, what's my age when I am in University Malaya, but I was born in Kedah? Can you deduce my age from there? Not enough information. But maybe you can make the same argument like the BBC news reporter saying that, well, since he's in University Malaya, clearly he must be between first year up to the final year, and he was born in Kedah. The average age of people in Kedah is sekian. So it shows that it's a bit fun to play around with this. It's like a way to escape from work. If you go back home from work, what do? Do more work? I mean, yes, if you do have extra, but then why don't you take some time and lay back rather than maybe reading a novel is fun, correct? It's no different than solving a math equation. You're finding the answer to the story, the story behind the mystery. Remember that the previous person made a Sherlock Holmes deduction for it. So that shows maths can be fun. You just need to put that effort behind it. Okay?
Thank you, Asmo. I think you have personality even in your presentation.
Thank you.
I'm on the alpha extreme end. That's the reason why I went to accounting. All I did was plus, minus, times in the right hand. That's how far I ran, and I can't do all this with the 2 and 3 on top down there. I can't do that. I kind of like understand if I got it right that it's about time that some people who are probably non-passionate about mathematics can actually understand that there is a passion behind mathematics and there's life in mathematics. People like me, is there any more hope? Thank you.
I want to say people like you, but I hope you don't mind me asking, but how old are you?
The days when I was born, we are not even allowed to use calculator, and the calculator, even if we are allowed to use, is very expensive. And we use logarithms, tables.
Oh, like my father.
Yeah, around your father's age. Thank you.
Okay, so yes, you're
In
right.
fact, I fail my calculus.
I don't know about my father, but I'm going to recount a bit about my father a bit. Back then, he studied abroad in the USA. And he said before that back then, we didn't use these fancy calculators as well. We used those logarithm books. And there wasn't really a need to, use a calculator, right? But then what's the difference between that logarithm book and looking up the answer, then pulling out a calculator and pressing in those numbers? Is there really a difference? Well, it's a rhetorical question. You can answer if you want. But what I want to
Let me say this, I think what you're getting is quite good. I think we had a lot of fun with the book. We had a lot of fun with the book. And we kind of like find out, and we do all this cut across, and then we found the answer, and we kind of like enjoyed it.
Actually, the way how you say it like that, I feel like there is a secret, another revelation behind it. A book. It has writing and mostly visualization of it. You may think that these numbers may be random, right? You at least got the explanation right, but then after the explanation, ignore explanation, just look at how you read a book. And being able to solve, it's like solving puzzles in the first place. Like you solve a crossword, or you play Sudoku. Do you play Sudoku for the math? No, right? You play it for the fun. And when you're a student, I find that something that students lack sometimes is just having more learning. It's not a way to actually live your student life, correct? Do we find that one number amongst the columns and rows? My father has shown me the book and it's quite impressive. Huh? It's just so that we should really not overlook the youth over there. Like I can see, like Ahmed, all of us, we've been enjoying our lives, correct? Really? Student life, okay? Good studies, huh? You can see that even they are quite exhausted from it. So, really, it's just have some fun once in a while. As an engineer, I know it's your job to solve problems and things like that. But, like I would say, just have fun while doing it. Why make life more miserable than it already is, correct? Yes. And I believe that's all the time I have even for the Q&A session today. Oh, okay.
Hi, Hasbro. Yeah.
Okay.
I got one final question for you.
Okay.
I believe you are very enjoy and love mathematics.
Oh.
Can you
okay.
briefly describe why?
Ah. Why I like mathematics? I gotta say,
It's in the
it's
gene.
based upon my foundation days. I had a maths lecturer. His name is Mozi Ahmed. He was a person from Algeria, and he had a strong belief that in mathematics you need to learn from the basics. All he did was told me definitions, but then afterwards he let the student find out the rest. And even though I said in the exams we're not allowed to use calculators, we weren't even allowed to use calculators in class or anything like that. We were just told, solve this thing on, and funny as well, he gives you work. What you do is that you should finish as much as you can, and what you don't know, you can just say you don't know, and he'll understand. What he told me is that, okay, all you gotta do is just go to the whiteboard and write down your answer, and I'll see your reasoning behind it. And whenever you do something weird or like do a miscalculation, he'll ask why, rather than you did a mistake here, fix it. He'll ask, why did you make that mistake? Where did that mistake come from? Were you stressed during that time? There was a slight realization that I realized that mathematics was more than just writing down the equation and getting the answer. It was the journey, you can say. It's not the destination. It's the way how you solve it and how satisfying it is to finally show the answer to your lecturer and they say, okay, correct. Especially with a lecturer like my math lecturer back then, it was so satisfying if all he did was just look at your answer and be like, okay, it's correct. You can sit down now. There's this hidden joy in mathematics that I feel like most people need to experience it to believe it. So as I said, even though people don't like exercising, right? Exercise those math problems, huh? Do all of them even if you're bored, and do them yourself even better. If you don't know, ask somebody to explain, and don't ask just for the answer. Ask them to explain. Hear their reasoning, and you'll be able to learn a lot more than just thinking that all there is in life is just answers rather than questions. Okay, I hope that's all from the judges now. I'd like to thank you very much and bon appetit, mes amis.
So I know we're supposed to have lunch now, but we're gonna have to wait a bit more because we have some time. So thank you for this presentation. As a math fiend, I thoroughly enjoyed it. We have the next candidate.
So we will now proceed with the announcement of the winners. First, we have the runner-up for the SOFE Malaysia 2023. Let's welcome with a round of applause Hazbul Hazik Khazali from IMEC University Malaya Student Chapter. And finally, the moment we have all been waiting for, the winner of this competition. Now let's welcome, with a big round of applause, Eddie Chong from IIT Harriet Was Student Chapter. I would like to request a group photo with the judges, the runner-up, and yes. Oh yes. Please wait. Now I would like to invite all the participants, the judges, to take a group picture. Thank you.